What happens when the human steps out of the decision-making process? What happens when there's no human involved in the evaluation of alternatives? So that's the next step to this perpetual commerce, where basically our needs are being fulfilled, but we're not even responsible for the brand choice. And that's terrifying for everyone in branding and marketing, because that's B2M, business to machine. Forget about B2B and B2C. And so perpetual commerce, you could argue, might be a step towards that. A step where we're always kind of need stuff, but actually we don't like even making the decisions, which is why predictive commerce and predictive AI can just do it for us. We'll only step in when we want a piece of direction.
All right, Lindsay, we are back, and welcome back to this 5-part series. This is Decoded, brought to you this season by our partnership with Commerce. And today, we're so pleased to have a globally recognized keynote speaker, CX strategist, and social scientist whose work explores the psychology and sociology of consumer behavior in the digital age. And also, probably my new favorite book, your new favorite book, and definitely Taylor's new favorite book. It's the author of Taylor Making a New Era of Modern Branding and Customer Connection. He is the author and renowned now guest of Decoded Season 5. It is Ken Hughes. Welcome to Decoded.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here. Looking forward to this. This is going to be a good chat.
Glad to have you. And, we are covering this new topic of what we're calling the new modes. What we found in our research, Ken, I think we'll get into it here today, is about half of consumers are in this perpetual state of consideration of purchasing something. I think I fall into at least that half. What do you think of our research that we found, and how does that line up with the work that you've been doing?
Yeah, it lines up really, really well. I mean, I'm a cyber behavioralist also, a relatively new field of social science, which looks at people's behavior digitally and how that impacts their real world interactions. So it's not just about looking at how they observe and how they play out digitally. It's about how those behaviors actually make their way back into the real world. And so what I'm fascinated by is that what you mentioned there, what we call the always on consumer. This idea, and in fact, it's just the always on society. Like we're a digitally first world now, where everything that comes into your mind, you tend to reach into your device first to check with. And so whether that's something as simple as where am I going, what time is it, who am I meeting next, or what do I need next as a product, or what do I want, I have an emotional mental health question, I'm going to use ChatGPT, or basically anything that comes into your mind, you reach for your device first. That's your first port of call. And as an always-on consumer, and if we look at some of the big things in cyber behaviorism, we talk about the Tinderization of society, easy come, easy go, easy swipe. This idea of one click, and I think it was Jeff Bezos gave it to us years ago, this, when he launched that one-click buy button, and then done, easy. Then everything kind of started to shift. And then when social commerce came along and gave us swipe up shopping, where, I like that. Just one swipe and I have it. And there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes in terms of the digital ability and the convenience part of that, the easiness. Because ultimately, when you think about it from a behavioral scientist point of view, humans don't like making decisions. We actually don't like it. It's because it's work. It's hard work. That wonderful book, The Paradox of Choice. The more choice you give someone, the more difficult it becomes actually to make a decision. When you walk down the shampoo aisle and you look at the 400 different bottles of shampoo, you think firstly, why do we have so much shampoo? Why? Well, obviously you've got magnificent hair, Phillip, so you need it. But we wonder, the more difficult you make it for decisions to be made by consumers, the less likely they actually will make it. It's that Netflix moment where you go onto Netflix and you spend most of your time going around there deciding what you're going to watch, and suddenly half an hour has gone by and you still watch nothing. And so making decisions easy for customers is kind of one of the core things that brands need to think about. The fact that they're already in a mindset now of the distance between being a shopper and a consumer. We used to have very separate definitions of those two things. A consumer consumes and a shopper shops. And while you're in shopping mode, you may not be. So think about, let's say, a supermarket, really simple example. When you're pushing the cart, you're not in consuming mode. You're not eating the stuff as you buy it. maybe you are. But you're shopping, and then you get home and you consume. And sometimes there'd be a separation of those two things. So sometimes the shopper wouldn't be the consumer. So if I'm buying tampons for my 18-year-old daughter, I'm not the consumer, but I'm the shopper. And that's really confusing because I don't use the product. I don't know what to buy. And so same with dog food, but now we've got a kind of a shrinking distance between shopper and consumer, because at any given time, you can be a shopper. at any given time, and particularly the advances in the payment systems field, where we don't need to enter all our details anymore, and it's all just held for us, and it's double click, it's use your face, and boom, 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 all open, done. So lots of things happened in the last 10 years that allowed us to make it so frictionless and so seamless to buy that, of course, now this step between, oh, I'm considering buying a product, oh, I will buy that product, becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. And so we have that always on state now, where the moment you see something, previously you might have gone in. Do you remember if you did an MBA or a business degree that you would have been taught the 5 stages of purchase decision making, where you can, what is your need? Look for products that meet that need, evaluate all the alternatives, make a decision, post-purchase decision. And they're all very linear and it's very standard economics. But what we're seeing now is just a complete collapse of those phases. And so really the evaluation of alternatives is happening without the need being there at all, which is, of course, the sweet spot for impulse shopping, isn't it? And so you see something on social media, it's 2 a.m. We've all done it. You're in bed and you're swiping away, and suddenly you're buying this hologram Christmas bauble that you can upload your children's faces to for your Christmas tree. Like, you didn't have a need for that. You didn't wake up this morning thinking like, oh, I really need something on my Christmas tree holographically this year. But you see it, and suddenly you're a consumer of it and you're a shopper of it before you even realize it. So there's a huge role that social media plays, and the difference in platforms. Reading your report, I mean, the difference between, let's say, an older consumer who has, of course, not grown up with this reality, let's say a boomer or a Gen X, they tend to be more functional. They still tend to fall back into that 5-stage process where it's like, what is my need? And let me go out there and let me consciously find products to meet my need. Therefore, I will go onto Amazon and I will go onto platforms that I know where the product will probably live, go onto Walmart and I'll find something, and then I will make decisions. Whereas you've got other generations who are spending hours and hours, not necessarily a good thing, on other platforms that are entertainment focused, maybe like TikTok or even Snapchat or even ChatGPT now with AI commerce coming in. And they're using those platforms for entertainment, for information, for curiosity. And into that slipstream comes the product pieces. And now you could argue that shopping is is it functional or is it entertainment? And is that line between? And so you could have a great moral conversation about that, of course, also. Is it our... and we will, I think, yeah. The easier we make it for people to buy, which is the job of a behavioral scientist who looks at things from a branding point of view. It's my job to help brands convert, help brands close that gap between consideration and purchase. The easier we make it happen, the higher danger is that people will start buying things they maybe don't even need in the first place. But look, you're into the ethics of marketing there as a whole discipline, I'll be honest.
I'm thinking of your Blue Dot consumer thesis and how brands navigate around the shopper. The customer is the center, and the brands have to do the work of navigating around and around the consumer. How does that change in the agentic future? How does that do brands have more of a capacity to keep customer at the center because of agents and because of the way that AI is shaping the way that we interact with commerce?
Yeah, I think so, because in the end, putting the customer at the center, at the old world map was you did all the work, basically. You had to find out where you are, where you were going, you had to navigate, and now you're right there in the middle. The frame of reference is built around you. And what I'm really interested about that is the context piece. So when you decide, you're hungry, you take your phone out, you say, I'd like to go to an Indian Thai restaurant. Google Maps will show you restaurants that are on the street that you're on right now. That's the point. It's saying, where is Lindsay? What does she need right now? Let's serve her up products that basically allow us to understand, okay, here's what will satisfy her needs at the time. I think AI opens up that really better. It opens up hugely what, using all the data that we have on customers, we can now activate that data and we can say, right, what does Lindsay need? And we can start to predict her needs. So instead of waiting for Lindsay to say, oh, I'm here, I'd like this, we can see where Lindsay's going. And so in commerce, in terms of, where we are, we're actually quite lazy at that. We're still kind of, oh, you talked about this with your friends recently. You searched for this last week, so let's serve you up an ad for this. Yeah, we already knew that you were looking for that. We're kind of one step behind you still, whereas what we need to be is one step in front of you. We need to be like, what is Phillip doing today? What is Lindsay doing next week? What will they probably need? And let's start serving them that. So perpetual commerce becomes actually not, from a customer point of view, I'm always shopping. It goes the other way, and the algorithm and the brands need to think, well, Where are they going in their lives? What's happening in their lives contextually? And how can we then step in with relevance? And so most of advertising in the world is irrelevant to me. Most of it is megaphone brands just shouting about themselves, trying to get your attention. Whereas we're moving to a model which is much more relationship focused, which is we know everything about you. We know what you need in life. And let us step in now and be a partner with you with this particular brand and product that will meet your needs. And so that's an easy sell then, because that's exactly where I was going. That's what I need. And so the brands that are doing that well, that are investing in relationship as opposed to transaction, are the brands that are winning. And so it's a shift away from convincing someone to buy towards someone automatically buys because they feel that you're a part of their life. You're part of their community. They've invited you in. I love that expression. You every time you buy a brand, you invite them into your life. And we have to respect those invitations as brand owners. And we think, okay, how can we build a relationship now? And in that AI future B2M world, all you have is relationship, actually, because there's a huge commoditization of product with an always-on consumer who'll always be ready to buy. Why should they buy your product? Well, they'll only buy yours if they feel some kind of affinity to you. You know, like if they're going to call through the AI agent, actually, no, I don't want anything. I want that particular brand, please. Then there's a reason they've asked for that. As a human, there's a reason you're asking for a particular brand, because you have an affinity to the brand. And that's where the secret of success is going to be. It's going to be predictive. It's going to be heavily data-based, but ultimately it's about relationship. And that customer lifetime value argument and a word that's thrown around boardrooms all over the world. What does it mean? It means that there should be some kind of lifetime loyalty. Like it's like slipping a ring on someone's finger in a human relationship. So we want that from our customers, but then we don't give them anything back. In fact, if you look at most loyalty programs, you know, buy 9 cups of coffee, get a 10th coffee free. That's not loyalty. That's entrapment. That's like, does this hanky smell like chloroform to you? You know, you're trying to hold the customer against their will, you know? And so I think from a consumerist point of view, any brand or business listening to this, you've got to realize that, okay, if we step into the relationship space, if we step into building relationships with customers with depth, with emotional intelligence, and our product obviously is there as well as the conduit to the needs they're trying to meet. But if we make it about them and not about us, if we make it about where they are, that's the secret. And that's the secret for longevity. It's why Taylor Swift has done so well in the pop industry, because she's invested in the relationship, not the product. And she's super, famous for this heart hand little thing. And the heart hand point is half of that heart is created by me, the product, the brand, the music, the videos, and the other half is the fan and the tribe. And together we make something magical. And so it's all about relationship. And that's why she's worth twice the value of any other pop brand in the world. She's twice as valuable as Madonna, because she's invested in relationship, not product. And I think we can all learn from that. We can all look at how can we deepen the relationship with product. And then as various things come, as they always will, technologies and new channels and new ways of meeting consumers' needs, we will always be there because the relationship is there, because we've invested in that part.